The fallout from WrestleMania 41 continues to deliver surprises, and the latest bombshell is the unlikely alliance between Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. But this feels just like the beginning, a foundation for something much bigger. So the burning question on everyone's mind is, who else could join this new potentially dominant force in WWE? Today we're going to be deep diving into the speculation and fantasy booking, presenting with 6 compelling WWE stars that could realistically become the next members of Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker's alliance. Get ready for some intriguing possibilities that could reshape the entire WWE landscape. Keep in mind that this is a formation of a faction in which I don't think a lot of people saw coming. Obviously, the alliance between Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, that was something that people were talking about. It was a major talking point coming out of WrestleMania 41. The strategic partnership not only provided the visionary with a guidance from a legendary mind like Paul Heyman, but it also served as a new direct blow to his prominent rivals, being Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Now look, at WrestleMania 41, it was Paul Heyman who opted to walk down the ring with CM Punk, turn his back on CM Punk, attack CM Punk, hit a low blow to CM Punk, hit a low blow to Roman Reigns. Now, the following night on Monday Night Raw, you knew there was going to be a confrontation. You knew there was going to be a mix-up. You knew that Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman were going to address their opponents. Think about that. Even Paul Heyman, he's not even a wrestler, but he's got some rivals out there. And that is CM Punk. And that is Roman Reigns, right? And so they bring these two guys out, and Punk comes out there, and Seth gets the better of him. And then here comes Roman, and Seth, he starts to get back down. He starts to get beat up. He starts to get knocked down. And then all of a sudden, a guy in a hoodie comes out there and spears Roman Reigns out of his shoes. And it's Braun Breaker. And I love this alliance. I love this alliance because it makes sense. You have Seth Rollins. You have Paul Heyman, 2 top tier names. Okay, Seth Rollins, bona fide Hall of Famer. Paul Heyman, an already Hall of Famer. And so what do? They bring in a guy who is established, but a guy that is on the rise, the guy that has so much momentum, so much upside to him, a former NXT champion, a former NXT tag team champion, a former intercontinental champion, and coming out of WrestleMania, in which he lost the intercontinental title in a fatal 4-way. Does he go after the intercontinental title? No. Does he go after a rematch with Dominic Mysterio, who stole his championship away from him? No. Does he go and he starts to backpedal and he goes into a random feud? No. He not only aligns himself with a top-tier star like Seth Rollins, he not only aligns himself with a legendary manager, an advocate, a wise man, if you will, in Paul Heyman, but he also is now stepping into the ring, into the spotlight, into the focus with 2 of WWE's biggest stars of not only this generation, but in history. We're talking about elevation in which not many people get. We're talking about elevation in which you don't see very often for a young guy, a guy who has a ton of potential, a ton of high ceiling caliber equity. That's what Braun Breaker brings to this. So when you talk about people that could join Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, you best believe that this list better be top tier. And that is where we're going to get into today. Some of these names you're not going to like. Some of these names you won't agree with. But at the end of the day, I think if you look at it from face value, if you were going to add to what works, you better add something that is a benefit and doesn't take away from it. A-Town down. Austin Theory, Grayson Waller. Now, this talented tag team made up of these 2 guys possesses a compelling look and a proven in-ring abilities, but has struggled to gain some consistent momentum on Monday Night Raw. By becoming part of this faction led by figures like Seth Rollins, stature that could significantly help their credibility in the eyes of the fans. Historically successful factions often include reliable tag teams, capable of taking the punishment to enhance the group's dominance. Waller, in theory, could fill this role effectively while benefiting from the association with Seth Rollins, a top star, with Braun Breaker, a future top star, and a legendary Paul Heyman. This could potentially unlock everything that it comes to their wrestling careers and really not only help their wrestling careers, but could potentially save their wrestling careers. Ilja Dragunov. Keep in mind that Dragunov's promising run on WWE Monday Night Raw was unfortunately curtailed by a torn ACL in September. However, upon his eventual return, he is widely expected to be a feature player as WWE reportedly holds him in high regard. If the company intends for Seth Rollins to help elevate these talents with main event potential, Dragunov could be the ideal candidate. His intense in-ring style and undeniable talents would make him a formidable addition to the faction, aiming to establish itself as a force to be reckoned with. This guy is a former NXT UK champion. He is a guy in which can go in there and have a banger of a match with anyone that you put in the ring with. He's a guy that has a ton of upside. I think he needs to work on his promos a little bit, but if you pair him with Seth Rollins, his stock goes up, and he could learn a ton from Paul Heyman. Keep in mind that Paul Heyman likes to work with young talent, and I think this would be a perfect contender. This would be an easy one, but I think it would be Becky Lynch. Now, look, throughout her recent years, new factions in WWE have successfully integrated compelling female talent who contribute more than just aesthetics. A Rollins-led faction could follow this trend, and who better to include his own wife, the man, Becky Lynch. Now, following her surprising heel turn on Monday Night Raw, where she went against Lyra Valkyria and previously took out Bayley, the timing seems perfect for WWE's high-profile couple to finally get back on the same page television-wise and have a substantial on-screen storyline together as part of a dominant feud. The fact that she is a heel and the fact that we really haven't seen outside of a mini 2019 run where they feuded with Lacey Evans and there was someone else. And, they were world champions at the time. We haven't got to see Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins on television together. I think this would be a nice change up for them and the fan base. This is my personal opinion and my personal number one pick, but it's Ludwig Kaiser. Similar to Dragunov, the former Imperium member, poses considerable untapped potential. While consistently being presented with opportunities, he has yet to achieve a truly impactful and breakthrough moment on the main roster. From a pure talents perspective, Kaiser would be a valuable addition to the potential of Rollins leading this faction worth of absolute killers, and the association could redefine how fans look at Kaiser. Furthermore, his athletic prowess and in-ring style offer a compelling middle ground between the flamboyant Seth Rollins, an over-the-top character, and the hard-hitting presence of Bron Breakker. Also, I think he could learn a lot from Paul Heyman. He also goes back into the whole younger talent thing, in which Paul Heyman is notoriously known for. I think it would help this guy in many, many ways, and I would absolutely love to see him in this spot. And finally, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Now, this established formula of success, well, it would fit perfectly in this faction. Think about it. The Bloodline, Judgment Day, and even the legendary groups like Evolution and D-Generation X, the NWO, it often involves a combination of strong single stars and a dynamic tag team. With Rollins and Breakker potentially filling the singles role, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate present a high upside tag team in need of a compelling storyline to help elevate themselves. Now, both are exceptional in-ring performers in their prime and represents one of the more talented duos within the company. Moreover, think about it. Waller, Theory, their willingness to take bumps would make them more valuable assets in establishing the faction's dominance over its adversities. I actually like the Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate thing. I think it's pretty easy to turn Tyler Bate. He can just get frustrated. Pete Dunne, we've seen him as a heel before. He plays the part very well. I think any of these people on this list would do just fine, but if I had to take my number one pick, it's Becky Lynch and or Ludwig